When I decided I was going to be making a video about Captain America movies, I thought it might be fun to decorate this background area with some Captain America stuff. Unfortunately, all I had was some t-shirts, this Funko Pop, these Disney Infinity figures, comics, like crazy 1950s Cap, first appearance of MODOK. This one where Captain America's fighting Daredevil for some reason and he's able to bring his shield to a boxing match, which seems unfair. This book that teaches you how to draw him. This concept art I got from Brian Meinerding. The voting sticker's mine. This framed poster. This shield watch. Some of the Captain America stuff from the Phase 1 pack. His papers, his enlistment certificate that happens to mention Paramus, a place where I saw that movie. Monkey drawing trading cards. Pictures, Steve, Peggy, very sad. This Captain America cutting board. This Captain America waffle iron. These red, white, and blue glasses, this stylish Winter Soldier mask, this Captain America hat, which is like a really fun, and this Captain America shield. So, yeah, I'm kind of a fan. Let's start here. I loved both of these movies. They are probably the two non-Avengers MCU movies that I've rewatched in full the most. I love the portrayal of Captain America. I love the new characters that are introduced in these movies. Love the action, love the humor. I really love them. I also really respect the Russo brothers as directors and Marcus and McFeely as writers. What they've been able to do with the Marvel Cinematic Universe in not only these films, but in Infinity War and Endgame is nothing short of a miracle. They stuck the landing in a way that many franchises since have tried and failed. And of course, I appreciate the hell out of Kevin Feige. All these movies that I really enjoy would not work together without his vision, and I'm very grateful to have been able to witness the rise of the cinematic universe Kevin John Favreau and Stan Lee created. It has been an incredible experience. That being said, while I love them, I believe both Winter Soldier and Civil War make a mistake. The same mistake. That in no way ruins the movie, but I really wish had been done differently. In fact, I think it is the single biggest problem with these movies, and were it addressed, I would probably hold them up as the two best movies the MCU has produced. And if you don't agree with me, that's fine. There is a part of me that does not agree with me. A part that says, these movies are excellent, why are you bothering trying to fix them while there exist true disasters like Disney's Artemis Fowl? Why waste your energy here? And to you I say, that is completely fair. But stay with me. Give this thought experiment a chance, because I think I may be able to convince at least a few of you. Here's the thing. I believe both Winter Soldier and Civil War make one crucial mistake. Halfway through both movies, something changes. We get a big revelation, specifically related to the conflict of the movie. And here's my issue. I believe Winter Soldier and Civil War both have the wrong antagonist. Well, that isn't completely true. Both movies have the correct antagonist, but both movies, at about the same point, in a very similar way, lose sight of them. Here's how I'm going to do this. This first video is going to focus solely on Winter Soldier, since I believe that change is much simpler. You can honestly make an admittedly big change to the movie without significantly changing the structure or the plot. I know it's confusing, I'll explain. Then, the second video will be about Civil War, since that change, while similar, is far more substantial and requires its own video to completely flesh out. So without further ado, let's start with the Winter Soldier. In case you don't remember, early on in the film, a conflict is presented, an interesting one. Captain America visits Nick Fury at the Triskelion, S.H.I.E.L.D.'s headquarters, demanding to know why Black Widow was working a second angle for Fury during a mission the Cap was leading on the Lemurian star. Fury explains that they need to keep secrets and compartmentalize, and then Fury takes Cap on an elevator ride down to a sub-basement of the Triskelion, where S.H.I.E.L.D. is nearly finished with the construction of 3 next-generation helicarriers that will be able to monitor threats and assassinate those individuals before they would be able to cause anyone harm. Fury believes that after the events in New York in Avengers 1, the world needs a new system to stop disasters before they happen. Steve disagrees with Fury's approach, arguing that the punishment should come after the crime and that this new system, codenamed Project Insight, is infringing on the freedoms of the people Fury is trying to protect, and therefore, Project Insight is unethical. Cap and Fury are at odds, ideologically. Cap stands for freedom, Fury for security. It is a solid conflict upon which to build a story. How does Captain America deal with an American governmental organization that he used to trust when he believes they are doing something wrong? This question tests Cap's values. However, in a subsequent scene, Fury is attacked and seemingly killed by an assassin known as the Winter Soldier, who will eventually be revealed to be Captain America's old war buddy and best friend Bucky Barnes. And then the narrative takes a turn. With Fury out of commission, S.H.I.E.L.D., led by Alexander Pierce, immediately goes after Captain America, forcing him on the run with Black Widow. And exactly halfway through the movie, Cap and Widow learn that S.H.I.E.L.D. has been infiltrated by HYDRA, a Nazi deep science division, and HYDRA plans to use Project Insight to take over the world. And I don't love that. Ryan Johnson, yep, I'll see all you in the comments, said about the reveal of Rey's parents in The Last Jedi, I was thinking, what's the most powerful answer to that question? Powerful meaning, what's the hardest thing that Rey could hear? That's what you're after with challenging your characters. The easiest thing for Rey and the audience to hear is, oh, you're so-and-so's daughter. That would be wish fulfillment and instantly hand her a place in this story on a silver platter. The hardest thing for her is to hear that she's not going to get an easy answer. Not only that, but Kylo is going to use the fact that you don't get that answer to try and weaken you, so you have to lean on him. And that's what a good story is about. Putting your protagonist through hell, making them face hard truths and forcing them to grow. Halfway through The Winter Soldier, the hardest thing for Captain America to do is go to war with the United States government over something he believes is wrong. Steve has, up until this point, defined himself by his connection to the government, so by choosing to fight that government, he is also giving up a big part of his identity. Is it worth it? And who is Captain America when this is all over? This is the endgame for the conflict presented in the Triskelion. Freedom or fear. Do what you were told or what you believe is right. This is the hardest thing for Captain America to do in this story. However, halfway through the movie, that difficult truth and conflict go out the window when Arnim Zola explains that S.H.I.E.L.D. is actually HYDRA, and the enemy Steve needs to defeat is essentially the same one he fought in World War II. That conflict disappears. And the crazy thing is, it doesn't need to. If HYDRA's not involved in the story, the end result is basically the same. Cap, Widow, and Falcon stop S.H.I.E.L.D. and save the day. Cap breaks with his former strike teammates and rallies the loyal S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, only now, Cap isn't going up against a secret Nazi army, he is going up against S.H.I.E.L.D. See, the conflict in the end of The Winter Soldier isn't the same as the conflict in the beginning. The original issue is that Cap believes no one should use Project Insight, because its capabilities undermine the American principle of freedom. But by the end of the film, that conflict has changed. Now Cap and friends need to destroy Project Insight because Nazis are going to use it to kill their enemies and take over the world. And that's just not as interesting. Captain America is doing what he's already good at, what he feels comfortable doing. Fighting HYDRA. That's what Captain America does. What he did before the movie started and what he did after the movie ended. Furthermore, this conflict is not specific to Captain America in an interesting way. Any hero, when faced with this decision, would destroy the helicarriers and stop HYDRA. I mean, they're HYDRA, Nazis. But the original conflict, other heroes would react differently. Maybe Iron Man would agree with S.H.I.E.L.D. that threats need to be monitored and eliminated before they're able to act, because Tony is laser focused on security after his experience in Avengers. After all, that's a reasonable extension of his decision to create Ultron and eventually Edith. But Iron Man or Thor or the Hulk, they would all fight Nazis. The end of The Winter Soldier is not unique to Cap. So the original conflict, freedom versus security, is one that is perfectly suited to Captain America. It will cause him the most internal struggle of any Marvel Cinematic Universe hero, and the decision to stand up to a HYDRA-less S.H.I.E.L.D. will be the most difficult, but offer the most potential growth for Steve. And you may be asking, but then who would be the villain of The Winter Soldier if Captain America wasn't going up against HYDRA? Well, it could have been S.H.I.E.L.D. I mean, change the reveal in the abandoned S.H.I.E.L.D. base, and some of Steve's speeches, and the movie's basically the same. Except then Alexander Pierce isn't a particularly compelling antagonist. So maybe the antagonist in The Winter Soldier should have been someone different. Maybe it should have been Nick Fury. After all, Fury offers the most compelling defense of the most compelling conflict. The grandfather with the handgun story. Fury believes in a need to protect the planet from unexpected threats. This tracks with Fury's motivations. And to be fair, Fury isn't all wrong. He recognizes that after the events of Avengers, something needs to change. If literal gods can open portals to other dimensions and release an army of aliens, maybe all bets are off. Maybe an idea like Project Insight is necessary to keep the world safe. Nick Fury may go a little overboard, he could be drinking too much of his own Kool-Aid, but he isn't evil or even necessarily that wrong. And with Nick Fury pulling the strings, both plot lines converge in an interesting way, because that's one of my other big issues with this movie. The Winter Soldier, the movie, is really about this HYDRA S.H.I.E.L.D. connection. Bucky Barnes, Cap's old friend, being the villain that keeps getting in the way of our heroes is mostly a coincidence. He isn't sent specifically because his presence will bother Cap. Bucky is just the HYDRA super agent at the time. And because of that, the Winter Soldier plotline kind of gets lost in Captain America the Winter Soldier. Every time there's an interesting plot development, S.H.I.E.L.D. is after Steve, S.H.I.E.L.D. is HYDRA, Steve makes a speech to S.H.I.E.L.D. The Winter Soldier is either absent or just tangentially related to the conflict. Yes, Captain Rogers, HYDRA spent years infiltrating S.H.I.E.L.D., and oh yeah, there's this Winter Soldier guy, don't forget about him, he might be important, winks under eye patch. And I feel like it's an attempt to personalize the conflict. Steve has no interesting relationship with Pierce or Rumlow or Sitwell, so when they turn on S.H.I.E.L.D., Steve isn't invested on an emotional level. So he's left with Bucky to keep the climax personal. But if Fury were the antagonist, Captain America's relationship with S.H.I.E.L.D. and Fury works for both the external and internal stakes. He knows this guy. It's why the finale of Civil War works so well, although we will get to that in a future video. Plus, I don't think the twist in Winter Soldier is incredibly effective. The movie wanted us to think that Pierce was a well-meaning S.H.I.E.L.D. director, but it was revealed around halfway through that he's actually leading the faction of HYDRA that existed within S.H.I.E.L.D. But since Pierce was introduced in this movie, he was the obvious choice for your secret bad guy. But if the secret antagonist were actually Fury, someone we trusted, working his own angle, the twist that the big bad at the end of the movie was actually Fury would mean something. It would throw the audience for a loop the same way that it throws Captain America. So let's do a thought experiment. What would the Winter Soldier look like if Fury was the antagonist instead of Pierce? Well, the beginning of this movie could be more or less the same. Cap runs the Lemurian Star mission, argues with Fury over Widow's secret mission during that mission. Fury shows Cap the helicarriers, expecting Cap to fall in line, but Cap disagrees. Then Fury gets attacked by the Winter Soldier, gets shot at Cap's apartment, so Cap and Widow go on the run, try to find the truth. But then, at the midpoint, where we originally get the HYDRA reveal, we get a different but similar reveal. We learn that the Winter Soldier is working with S.H.I.E.L.D. So the assassin came from inside S.H.I.E.L.D. Bum bum bum. And this could still be Zola, but like a semi-reformed Zola. He didn't seem incredibly invested in HYDRA or the Red Skull. Anyway, let's say his loyalties changed and he just paperclipped into S.H.I.E.L.D. But no HYDRA. Maybe in this version, there isn't a bombing of the base, but the agents do chase Cap and Widow out, so Cap and Widow are forced back on the run. They team up with Falcon, go after Sitwell, not because he's HYDRA, just because he seems to be connected somehow, and he tells them some of the story of the Winter Soldier. He's some sort of Russian asset who S.H.I.E.L.D. found and has had in stasis for the last few years, trying to break his mental programming. But before Sitwell's able to give the last piece of crucial info, Winter Soldier attacks, doesn't kill Sitwell, I guess, but fights Cap, Widow, and Falcon. But then they're caught by Strike, freed by Maria Hill, and they figure out what's going on. And Maria gives one important bit of new information. Fury is alive. He went into hiding, but he's still alive and working on Project Insight. And then, here's a real dopey retcon, but I think we kind of need it. Steve mentions that Fury doesn't trust anyone, just like the eye thing, right? Maria Hill says, "Oh, that? Yeah, he made that up. I figured out the real reason he lost the eye a few years back, and trust me, it is not that dramatic." Maybe she also explains the bloody trading cards from Avengers, and Steve says, "Huh, that's funny. I was talking to Pierce, and I told him that Fury told me not to trust anyone. Pierce asked if that included Fury, and then Steve figures it out. That's it. He's been playing us." Hill asks, "Who?" Cap says, "Fury. This is exactly what he wanted." Sam says, "To get shot?" Steve says, "Yeah, get attacked by an assassin, live, and then no one can tell him that Project Insight's a bad idea because he put himself on the line. He took the hit." Widow asks, "You think that's why he sent Bucky? S.H.I.E.L.D. has tons of assassins, and Fury could have just hired a freelancer like Batroc. But Fury got attacked by the one person we both have a past with. He gets us to pull that thread and we forget all about Insight." Sam says, "So you think this guy was trying to kill you, Captain America?" Steve says, I don't know. The first time he ran, so maybe not." Widow says, "And the second time," Steve says, "Bucky knew me. He's still my friend. That's what Fury missed. He doesn't trust people, but there's still good in Bucky. I know it." Widow asks, "So what do we do?" Steve asks Hill, "When does Insight launch?" Hill says, 3 hours. We need to shut it down." Hill, "You're gonna pick a fight with Nick Fury and S.H.I.E.L.D.? Steve, "No. We're gonna show Fury that he's wrong about people." Hill, "It's not that simple." "It has to be. It's the only way." Maria Hill smiles. "Well, I guess you're giving the orders now, Captain. And if you want to do the Marvel thing and undercut a serious moment with a joke, as they're leaving, Sam says, "By the way, you seen Star Wars yet?" Steve says, "Yep, the second I said it, I heard it. Just checking." It's a reference to Luke and Vader. I also want Steve to tell Hill, I want to talk to him, alone. Widow says, "You're going to tell him we're coming?" Steve says, "Yeah, I need to give him a chance. We owe it to him. Can you set up a call?" Maria Hill says she can, and right before everything starts, Steve calls Fury. Steve says, "Fury, it's me, Steve. Thought you died." "Neat trick, huh? I got it from you. Turns out you can get a lot done when everyone thinks you're dead. We know what you did. The assassination, Bucky, it was all just a distraction." And Fury says, "You gotta admit, the music was a nice touch." Steve's confused. Fury says, "Kitty Kalin, long time. Figured it might help if you were feeling nostalgic. You need to stop this, Fury." Project Insight is a necessary step towards security. You've seen what's out there. Aliens, monsters, bad guys. We need our own weapon to keep them in check. That's not how we do things. We're the Avengers. There's some problems the Avengers just can't solve. "Oh, I'm gonna stop you." Fury says, "I'll keep an eye open." To me, goofy coincidences in comic books are fine. Cap and Bucky being best friends and Bucky just happening to also be a super soldier, that's great. But in some situations, it can be more interesting. Instead of actually just being coincidences, they are treated like coincidences, but are actually engineered by a character who wants them to seem like coincidences. And then the nature of those coincidences can be questioned as part of the plot. So in this version, Fury sent Bucky knowing full well that Bucky would be the only thread Steve couldn't resist pulling. And the finale of the movie goes the same way. Strike, some other S.H.I.E.L.D. agents try to keep the helicarriers in the air while Steve and Sam take them down. They don't have to kill them. We don't have to say anyone's on the helicarriers. There isn't bloodshed in this situation. It's just a fight. Natasha impersonates a member of the World Security Council, and now the big arrival isn't Fury, it's Maria Hill. She and Natasha change the helicarrier targeting whatevers, and Sam and Steve insert 2 of the chips. Sam's grounded by Bucky. Steve and Bucky fight on the 3rd helicarrier. End of the movie. Maria Hill is now in charge of S.H.I.E.L.D. Cap, Natasha, and Sam go and try to find Bucky. And then Fury goes on the run. Would this change Ultron? Yeah, probably, but it wouldn't need to change all that much, honestly. Instead of Fury giving the pep talk, it could be Maria Hill, who could presumably have a bigger role in this movie, which would be fun. Could also be someone like General Ross, could be Mrs. Hawkeye, could be someone close to Tony, like Rhodey or Pepper, telling Tony that this isn't his fault and giving him a fresh set of eyes on the problem. And then Maria Hill brings the helicarrier. Now, I do not believe there is a chance in Santa's fancy hell that we would ever see a movie like this, mostly because I don't think audiences would want something like this from a Captain America movie. I honestly think there was a sigh of relief in my theater when it was revealed that S.H.I.E.L.D. was actually HYDRA, because that made everything simpler. We, the audience, did not need to grapple with the question of whether Steve was right to stop S.H.I.E.L.D. We didn't need to take former allies and pit them against our heroes. It turned out the new guys were the bad guys, and the bad guys were Nazis, so punch away with impunity, because they're bad. And listen, is the idea of a fictional government being run by secret Nazis a valuable one? Absolutely. Nazis are bad, and we apparently need to constantly be reminded of that. However, I do not believe this is the most interesting issue that the movie presents, specifically for Steve Rogers. A government that believes it's working in America's interest, but is going to do something that Steve believes is wrong, is a far more interesting antagonist than one that whispers secret code words into each other's ears and wants to kill the good guys because that's what bad guys do. HYDRA does not challenge Steve. Fury does. Because deep down, Nick Fury and Steve Rogers are so similar. Both are American patriots who have spent their lives defending their country, but one is an idealist who believes in people and the human spirit, and the other believes he is a realist who doesn't believe people can be trusted with anything, least of all in their own safety. Fury is a terrific foil for Steve, or at least he should be. Problem is, when challenged, Fury backs down. He helps Steve destroy the helicarriers, takes down S.H.I.E.L.D. because they were lying to him. But not because he's learned the error of his ways and grown, because the Nazis are the bad guys and they need to be stopped from controlling the superweapon. In conclusion, I'm not saying Winter Soldier's bad or anything like that. I just believe with a different antagonist, the movie could have delivered on some of the more interesting themes set up in the first act. And that antagonist pretty much already existed in the form of Nick Fury. Oh, and one more thing. Writing is difficult for a million reasons. And even if you are the juggernaut of storytelling that is the Marvel Cinematic Universe, keeping your story world organized can be difficult. Like, I don't know, maybe because of a miscommunication, one movie will have a title card that says 8 years later, even though 8 years has not passed, because we know when those movies took place, and it's something I feel like you could Google before you just put it into the movie, and it's something I feel like you could even just change the next day, like send out a new movie with just a new title card, or just have the guy doing the projector turn the thing off at the moment and say, actually, it's only 6 years or 4 years or whatever the real version of that is. All I'm saying is, world building ain't easy. Organizing stories can be hard, but it does not have to be, thanks to this video's sponsor, Campfire. Campfire Pro is a writing software with tons of tools to keep you organized. If you're writing, its character pages will help you keep track of all of your characters with details, backstories. Timelines can help you hammer out all those plot points. You can even track character arcs and use the map view to create all the locations you need. And you will also definitely want to check out the new world building pack. It's an expansion to Campfire Pro with even more tools to help build your story's world, construct new species, items, magic systems, develop your cultures with religions, philosophies, and languages with this massive bundle of features. Campfire Pro has a 10-day free trial and 10-day return policy. If you decide to buy, it is a one-time purchase of $49.99. Do away with all those Word documents and spreadsheets. Keep everything easily accessible with Campfire Pro. You can click the link in the description to learn more. So as always, I have to give a humongous thank you to everyone who continues to support the channel on Patreon. You guys are the best. You want to see your name up here, get access to videos early, other cool stuff, throw in literally any amount of money at patreon.com/NandoVMovies. You have no idea how much I appreciate it. Also, listen to my podcast, Mostly Nitpicking, where me and my co-hosts DJ and Diggins pick apart a piece of pop culture by looking exclusively at the details. We talk about whatever movies are coming out, which, like, who knows what that is, and we also talk about older movies like Fast and Furious, something we're doing now, stuff like that. We even did an episode just nitpicking some of the weird things that happened in the Marvel Cinematic Universe that you kind of forget about. Like in one of the movies, the vice president helps kidnap the president. That's some Metal Wolf chaos. Anyway, we are at Nitpicking Pod on Twitter. You can find us wherever you listen to your podcast. Last thing, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. I'm NandoVMovies. It's where I post updates on videos, podcasts, all kinds of stuff like that. Tease for a future video? New Mutants. It's going to be out soon. Maybe, probably not, who knows. But I would like to make a video about that soon. I mean, there'll be a Civil War video, so tease for a Civil War video that you know is coming, and a Star Wars one I keep talking about. That's going to be pretty big. That's all I got. I'll see you next time.